How you doing, people? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going over the PTS changes to the Flame Staff again. The third change in a month already. And before we get to that, obviously make sure you hit the subscribe button and don't forget the notification bell so you know when the videos go live. Okay, here we go. So basically what they did is they changed the passives yet again. So if you're unfamiliar with the Flame Staff changes on the PTS and this is all new to you, week 1 they changed it so that it no longer gave you increased single target damage. It was a 10% increase overall on live, and of course you had a big heavy attack which was a 12% increase on that. That's now gone. They changed that and allowed it to instead give you extra damage for each status effect that you fire. They changed that again, deleted it, and then they changed it to now damage over time is improved, and they changed it again. So now your heavy attack, which was the second change, actually they kept that part, increases your damage over time basically on target because you actually have a free dot. If you heavy attack, you have a free damage over time. Yes, that is affected by buffs and bonuses and such, and it also is buffed by its own passive to a certain extent depending on buffs and bonuses that you've got applied already. That, regardless, is a heavy attack and a free dot, which is great. This is the change. Inferno staves increase your damage done with damage over time and status effects. So before it was increase X amount of damage on top of the status effect, like a specific amount that could really ramp up and crit, and it was quite strong. If you look at my previous video, you'll see where I went with that one. Then they changed it to damage over time, which was also quite strong, and now both damage over time and status effects get an increase. Now, obviously, again, you've got lots of different bonus types in the game. Depending on your build, that is going to fluctuate a little bit, and you are going to see slight different calculations when it comes to the actual percentage that you gain, because obviously other things have to be considered first or after, and with additive and or multiplicative stats, things can get a little skew-if, especially when you're talking about crits and shit. But basically, it's an increase. How does that affect us? Is it better? Is it worse? Well, here's some things to consider. I gave you a demonstration in the previous video of how to stack up loads of status effects, basically utilizing this staff, which people basically forgot about, which was Crush and Shock over and over and over, and you get loads of status effects. Those effects were stronger individually per pop by a set amount that could crit, and it could ramp up quite quickly. Because that was changed and it's now a flat bonus, it's not as high as it was before, but it's still quite high. Also, damage over time is improved now, as well as it was the previous update. This is getting confusing, but stay with me. So now, stuff like this is improved regardless whether it's single target or AoE, it doesn't matter. Damage over time is improved. So, if you can stack a mixture of damage over time and status, that's when things really start to make a bit more sense. And if you look at this, for example, don't go mad about the numbers. It's just a 1-bar build. It's really basic. But we're using Crush and Shock, obviously. That's our main spammable, and that is taking up a large proportion of our overall damage if you consider the 3 combined. You're just over 15, 16, 17% there, roughly. You've got a burning status effect constantly running because it comes from the fire version of this, which is heightened by the weapon, and we've got the burning status effect that comes by default from Xynode. So our status effect there is quite high. On a DK, that's going to be really nice. Tri-Focus is the heavy attack itself, the damage over time. That is actually quite substantial. Even getting 10 to 11k hits there with crits. Your heavy attack isn't too bad. Obviously, if you do crit it, it's better. So you can get like 90 plus and higher from not even building for a heavy attack setup. And then you've got all these status effects here. Now, they may be a mild proportion of your overall DPS, but the actual hits of them are quite high. Sundered can happen from Reliquin. Concussion can happen from Crush and Shock. Disease can happen from our Incapacitate and Strike. Rarely, because we're not using it very often, but obviously when we do, it counts. Hemorrhage is really high because Barb Trap can proc that all the time. So you've got a damage over time ability here and a damage over time status effect. Much like burning or poisoned, the damage over time effects of the status effects are the ones that get the most damage output. Now, just bear in mind, of course, you're not getting both. You get one or the other. So while damage over time is considered as a burning or poison or hemorrhage status effect, you don't get 2 bonuses at once. You get one or the other. Exactly the same as the Lightning Staff. So the Lightning Staff increases direct damage and it increases channel damage. So with Puncture and Sweeps, that would mean that the channel and the direct would get both, right? No, it's one or the other. It's a specific type. So yes, it increases your burning status effects by a lot, but it doesn't do both. It doesn't double dip. Now, what you do have to consider, though, is when it does come to skills that aren't double dipping, so you don't have damage over time in a status effect, so you can't choose one or the other, then it does ramp up these flat ones quite a lot. So concussion doesn't hit that hard. It's a nice effect, but it doesn't hit that hard off the bat. This does now give you a 4k crit if you're lucky, 4.1k crit on Sundered, which is normally barely anything, and also disease procs are quite nice as well. Poison procs, again, damage over time, and of course, burning damage over time. So you've got a really good combination and mixture of status and damage over time combined. Now, if you built for just status, you can get really, really big benefits from that. If you built for just damage over time, also really big benefits from that. But if you mix and match, you can now make some very unique or diverse builds. And this is where things get really nuts. So, this isn't a build as such, this is just explaining how things work. Xan is a damage over time with a guaranteed bonus status effect. So that is enhanced regardless from the passive. But what about if you wanted to just have more status effects so you could take advantage of other things? Well, if you used a Baron set and you had loads of extra status effects, you can now build Ultimate much, much faster. So you're utilizing the benefits from the status effects by having lots of them. You can get the extra damage because you've got lots of them, so why not? And the more you have, the faster you ramp up Ultimate, which means you can drop your ultis quicker. So you can go full out into one spec if you want, or you can mix and match and take advantage of lots of different areas of it. Now this, for example, that particular setup there, which was a 91k 1 bar setup, actually hits the same with Baron because although you don't have the dot and the burning, you can fire off your in-cap a lot faster. So it's a balancing game. So where are they really going with this? What is the point? Well, the point is it's been a long battle forever where Flame Staff is single target and Lightning Staff is AoE. And basically it was a case of gain one to sacrifice the other. Most people use the Flame Staff to dummy hump, obviously because it's got a flame bonus on it. But let's face it, that's a single target, so it's really easy to manipulate that if you're just pushing for single target weapon types. It was very niche in its own right, but it was very easy to just assume that everything has to go one way or the other. Well, now they've made it so that it doesn't matter which staff you pick, your skills are what matter. Your skills and your gear and your status effects and all that kind of stuff, those are now contributors rather than flame, single target, light and AoE. Of course, you've still got lots of direct bonuses from the lightning staff, both single target and area of effect. You've got damage over time bonuses from the flame staff, both single target and area of effect. You see where we're going with this? They're trying to balance it out so that the staves are about choice, not about strength. The strength comes from the way you build. So this is the closest I think they've got to balancing the two as far as your build diversity and choices are concerned. But I do think they're going to adjust this ever so slightly, if not now, in the near future. Now, I know people are whinging about the lightning staff heavy attack and the splash damage. Don't worry too much right now. I've got a video coming up very soon to explain how some of that stuff can actually be used to your advantage. But I'll save that for then. Anyway, if you are not subscribing already, obviously hit that button. It is free. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you can see when videos go live. Also, if you want to follow on social media, there are some links in the description. And, of course, you can go to the website, xynodegaming.com, and support on Patreon if you want to get access to the private Discord channel amongst loads of other perks. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.